Token Rus Multiplayer time. I think this might be Slipstream with collisions. So at the moment, I'm a bit excited to get playing it, even though it's another one of these 24-hour things. And I don't think the 24-hour multiplayer has been received as well as it could have been. I think we all want like a mix of stuff. We could have some 24-hour ones and then a week one, then some more 24-hour ones. It's always all or nothing. It always goes into such a routine. Why am I picking this car first? Because the Pure Italia is better, the Vision's better, and the TouchDrive's better. And I don't want to have to watch any adverts. But I don't think I need to use the Bolwell or the Arish. When you update the game, generally, you end up then playing, then when you play multiplayer, it feels like you're only playing against other people that have also updated the game. So when a game update comes out, if you download that update really early for whatever platform you're on, multiplayer might seem, matchmaking might take longer, or it might seem empty while you're waiting for people to update. Right, it's ghosting at the moment, but is it going to ghost the whole lap? It'd be like now. Got to leave that shock on for defence. And then I was lucky it stayed on all the way. I'm going to need the TouchDrive and the Vision to win, but I just want to use up fuel and get a few points first. I'm sitting on my sofa with my legs on a footstool. And it's a footstool, it's version 2 of the footstool that I built for myself. Version 1 cracked in half when I put my elbow on it to lift myself up from the floor, but it's been restored, but it's declared as not a safe piece of furniture, so it's hidden in my bedroom because no guest could accidentally sit on it. I might end up killing a child if I leave that in the living room. It was interesting why it cracked in half. And it taught me a lot about the process of making the furniture. And while I was making that, I learned and realised at the same time. It was like the word's always been there. There's a specific word for the name of a bar that holds two legs together of a piece of furniture, like a table or a chair. And I just always thought of it as the crossbar, but I never thought what the actual word for it is. And when I was building this footstool, I had put the grain of the wood on the seat panel in a certain way to allow flex. So if you sit on it, it had some give. Like it's a wooden footstool with 4 legs that then has a foam pad on and another upholstered. And I thought if the wood has a bit of flex, it'll be sort of cool and nice. And the legs are slightly angled outwards for aesthetic reasons, for design. But because the legs are angled outwards, if you put it on a really smooth floor, when you apply pressure to the top, the legs want to move apart. They sort of slide outwards. They stretch the item of furniture. And that crossbar between 2 legs is called a stretcher. So then when I realised it's called that, which I thought was beautiful, because if I'd known that word, I would have known the problem before I experienced it when actually building furniture. But I still refused to put a stretcher on these footstools. I just did. How did I overcome the stretcher problem? Like, I've put metal plates on the seat panel, on the piece of wood that's the seat pad, that's the bottom of the seat pad. I've used metal plates to help form the legs to the seat panel that doesn't really allow for much give, and the wood's a lot stronger, and the angle's still the same of the legs, but it's just a lot stronger. I just reinforced it with some metal plates and better higher level strength wood. And it's so nice, like putting your feet on a padded footstool, or putting your calf muscles on the padded footstool and your feet hanging off the end is so much more comfortable than sticking your feet on the coffee table, which is what I've done for 20 years. I built my coffee table and designed that so that it was a perfect height for me to put my feet on my last sofa, but then I changed sofa and it was a bit low. I'm going to change to decent cars. This Brabham's actually boring me now in its mediocrity. But I'm still saving the Vision and the Tushek. I need to get points a bit quicker. I wanted to get out of Novice League though before I use the Vision and the Tushek. My coffee table doesn't have stretchers between the legs, and it survived 20 odd years, and the surface of it was a kitchen table for 20 years before it became my coffee table. It's got a couple of stress fractures from not having stretchers between the legs, from me jumping on it. I do like standing on furniture. I still haven't worked out, there's collisions, but we haven't seen a knockdown yet, or I haven't been paying enough attention to know whether anyone can knock me down. The guy's about to hit me, so I better at least press that. No hope, yeah, he goes under me. I was assuming I could get KD'd. Oh, my legs are so comfy. It's bringing back memories of the first time I ever went on a plane and had a seat where you could press a button and it lifted the bottom of your legs up. I was very lucky. I wasn't very old. I was probably 11 or 12, maybe 13. 12 probably. It might have been Virgin Atlantic. I don't know whether it would have been premium economy or business class, upper class, or it was probably premium economy, but you got that bit on that one extra thing you got was that you got slightly more leg room and you got that thing that lifted your legs up. Oh, it was beautiful. I think I've said before on my channel, I don't really drink much. And once I was flying to Houston, and my dad had got me a flight where I had to go to Charles de Gaulle Airport in France first, but I had access to the lounge because I had a good ticket. And when I'm sitting in the lounge, the sort of first class lounge in Charles de Gaulle Airport, and I'm sitting in there and they've got all these free pour whiskey bottles and they've just got so many different types of whiskey. And the plane's been delayed and I just think I'll start trying them, and I'm trying to read all these different papers in French and German just to have interest, and not realizing I'm getting extremely drunk and And then I walk. When I hear the plane's got to go, I walk to the plane, and I literally, if they'd actually looked at me, I would have been one of those people they wouldn't have let on the plane because you're too drunk. But I was just so quiet, just head down, get on the plane. Before the plane's even taken off, I've run to the bathroom and thrown up everywhere, blocked the sink and the toilet, and they then took off and then discovered this bathroom was out of order. So for the entire flight from France to America, there's a toilet completely out of order because I've thrown up everywhere. And after I threw up in that toilet, I just passed out in my seat and then woke up 6 hours later or something. Everyone else had eaten. I'm like, where's my food? Get me my food. Oh no, don't land upside down. That's not fair. I'm right at the back. It's not even worth finishing that race. It won't even give me any points for 6th. Right, that was a fun day. And they then made me the food. It was like they then made you, it was like, it wasn't just ready food. The chef then makes you the food. I can't remember if it was Air France. I think it was Air France. It was related to Continental Airways. So I think you'd mix airlines between Air France and Continental. And the food in whatever class it was called, upper class or first class on Air France, was amazing. Like breakfast once, I got this like handmade pizza. It's amazing. These tickets all were paid for by whatever company my dad was working for at the time, or his air miles. There was one time he deliberately flew me and him first class and put his wife in economy. I thought that was hilarious. When we were going from Hong Kong to the Philippines. She went first, and he just bought her an economy ticket. We went just after her, but we both went first class. She never knew that. Oh, stop knocking me everywhere. Now I'm like flying for 6 hours in the sky. Right, vision and Tushek time. Not progressing faster. Actually, no, I want to get to 100 points. Actually, I don't need it. There's 14 fuel. Still saving the Tushek. What have been the most exciting flights? Sort of flying into land flying from Houston to Cancun in Mexico, the turbulence in that flight was absolutely amazing. The plane was flying up and down all over the place. Stuff was flying around the plane. That was amazing. I really enjoyed that. And I remember getting hit by lightning a lot, flying from Hong Kong to London. And that was quite exciting. I think when my mother was on a plane with me when it was getting hit by lightning, she was particularly freaked out. And she doesn't like turbulence either. No one should like turbulence. But I did find it quite exciting as a kid. Now even as an adult, I just hope something's not tied down. And you just see it fly through the cabin, like, or stick to the ceiling. Sometimes it's air stewards. Don't hit me. There was one flight that I went on where we were flying from London to Hong Kong, and halfway through the flight or something, they asked for a doctor. They asked for a doctor and then they asked for a nurse, and then we have to land in Russia and leave a guy there. But the guy a guy had a heart attack, and it was actually the guy across the road from me. He'd been moaning all flight. I didn't see him have the heart attack. But again, it was Virgin Atlantic. We were, I don't know, 4 hours into a flight. He'd been moaning a lot. Then he disappeared. Then everyone was asking for doctors and nurses. And then we land in this airport in the middle of nowhere in Russia. Like, I'm a big fan of Russia, and so I'm not trying to joke that it was a desolate place, but this airport was the sort of loneliest place I've ever seen in my life. It was just there was this building in the distance, like the terminal building, and it was like it was infinitely long. You could just see it going forever, either direction, in completely uniform manner, like pillars and window, very low, sort of 2 or 3 stories, and just endlessly long, in front of a tarmac that had loads of planes on it, but a lot of the planes were just tilted over and they'd fallen on their wing. And even when you're landing, you're going over all the bumps on the runway where roots have, I'm not going to take that, where roots have destroyed the runway. And we're sort of waiting in the plane after it stops and lands in this completely empty place, and just in the distance, like the small point in infinity, you see this little like Renault 5 with ambulance colours sort of coming towards the plane with a little siren on. Oh, I'm out. And then they come on the plane, and then 5 minutes later there's just, does anyone speak Russian on the plane? Because no one could talk to the things. And then they just drop him off. And then we fly to Hong Kong. Like his wife got off with him. I don't know whether he survived or died, but if he survived, he's just going to wake up in this place in Russia, which has no, like while we were there 2 or 3 hours, not a single plane took off, not a single plane landed. We didn't see another vehicle except this ambulance. And this poor old man would just wake up after having a heart attack in the middle of nowhere in Russia, and then probably have another heart attack. Right, focus on the race. The only other place I've had sort of roots on that bumpy runway thing was Madagascar. But there we got to smoke on the plane. And as an 18-year-old, that was very cool. That was the most exciting thing ever. And what was interesting is you weren't allowed to smoke. We all thought that when they said we could smoke, we should go to the back and smoke. But we weren't allowed to stand up and smoke. You had to sit in your seat and smoke. If you wanted to smoke, you had to be sat in your seat. And so someone in front of you might have a no smoking seat and you've got a smoking seat. And for the whole flight from France to Madagascar, you're smoking. It would be horrible for that person. But it finally made use of those ashtrays in the seat that had always been there all my life. They had no purpose. Hold drift, rectify. Watch out, he's coming. Shock. I think that was all I could do to defend. And then another guy came from nowhere, ruling. Good one. Right, we're now up to proper points. But I want the next league. And then it won't take long to get to 750 with the Tushek. The one bit of going on, well, actually there's loads of bits of going on planes I don't like. I split up with my last girlfriend after a plane flight. They're so stressful, they cause arguments all the time. I used to hate the way people stand in queues so close to one another. I think COVID might have solved that though. But I couldn't stand being in a queue, having someone breathing on my neck, which would make me get agitated in the airport with people, which would then sort of potentially get me in trouble. Oh! And then I'm really bad in the descent, actually, on the plane, because I've got really bad inner ear on my left side. And so it's really painful flying. Like when the plane starts descending, I'll be crying and screaming in pain. And it's got worse as I get older. It's been ever since I was a child. And it's just the cost of flying. Sometimes the pain's constant through the whole flight. I think the last time I flew to Asia, I was on one of these new Dreamliner, but I don't know if it's called a Dreamliner. It's not a 7. It's an Airbus, the double-decker I think it's an Airbus. Yeah, the double-decker plane. It's a lot nicer because the walls are straight. It's like in a normal plane, in like a 737 or a DC-10, if you're sat by the window, the wall is curved in such a way that it's quite claustrophobic above your head. But in these double-decker massive planes, on the ground floor as such, the wall's really flat, so it just so much more, you feel, it feels so much more spacious and it's more comfortable, and the air quality is better due to the air systems that they have in these planes. But still, in one of those planes, I ended up like 5 hours in, lying on the floor in the middle of one of the crew areas, sort of crying my eyes out, slapping myself in the head. It's quite embarrassing going on a plane. I think once I'm in the toilet, sort of hiding my pain, sort of talking to myself, just trying to numb the pain in my head, and my sort of 2-year-old nephew is getting through this massive flight without any problem, and that it's him that they were all worrying about. And about 4 hours in, I'm just thinking, how do we turn the plane around? How do they turn the plane around to get me back home? I don't want to, because every mile further we go is a mile I have to go back at some point. So I'm just sort of, oh. That's just the track that allowed that. Don't land on me. In the 90s, it was really exciting landing in Hong Kong, because it was the airport. I think it was called Kai Tak Airport. They hadn't built the airport near on or next to Lantau Island at that stage, and so when planes flew into Hong Kong, you would kind of fly between the buildings to come into land, and the runway was so short that only certain pilots were allowed to land there, because you'd come into land, you fly between the buildings, then you hit the runway and they just slam on the reverse thrust. And again, like I was saying about the turbulence, everything flying around, anything not screwed down would fly to the front of the plane as the plane's trying to stop as fast as possible on this incredibly short runway in the middle of a built-up area. That was exciting. Now they just go in and land on the new airport off Lantau Island, which isn't as exciting. And then you get a train to the mainland, and I don't think you even get to step outside at the airport. You sort of get out the airport, get immediately on a train, and you're just in this closed environment. Kai Tak was like, you come into Kai Tak, land on it, walk outside the front of the airport, and it's like a normal departures place with those red taxis coming in and the posh limos for the expats that I got to go in as expat son. It was an amazing place to see as a kid, coming from somewhere so sort of leafy and suburban. When I went back to primary school the first time after having gone to Hong Kong, no one believed that I'd gone there because it was too exotic. No one believed my dad had a job there. He just thought I was making it up. I'm gonna go right. Oh. I didn't know what to do about that guy behind me. It was danger. If he had been one step, tiny bit behind, I could have gone right and got out his way, and that was my plan. But he was already there. 0 points. Oh, you still get 8 points. I thought you only got points if you're 4th and above. Next. Right, Tushek time. I thought it was a bank holiday this morning when I woke up, started shouting, started swearing loudly out on the street. Why are the gardeners here? Not why are the gardeners here, but why are you here? What the hell are you doing here today? Start moaning to my local councillor. Then Google, is it a bank holiday today? No, that's next week. And it's even more complicated than that, because I took the 2 days off work yesterday and the day before thinking that I had Thursday and Friday off because it was a bank holiday. I should have gone left. I thought we were on the long, normal track. No, I'm scared. I'm really scared. So I took 2 days off work thinking I'd have the rest of the week off, and then woke up today realising we've got a company meeting. I've got to do other stuff. I've got emails stacking up, people booking meetings for Friday. I'm such a moron. I never know when the bank holidays are, and this one's important because I work in retail. I kind of have to understand when the bank holidays are, and it's my own job that made me believe it was coming this week, because they started the Jubilee sale on the products like a week ago, and I thought that was leading up to this weekend. And because I don't watch the news or read papers or pay attention to things like that, I don't get that many triggers telling me what dates the bank holidays are. And my out of office said I'm out for the rest of the week. Call my mobile if it's urgent. And now I'm back at work on Thursday. I just pretend like, oh yeah, that's just I left on the last out of office from last time. Whoops. And then even when the company meeting starts, my boss hasn't turned up to it yet because he's busy. He was in a couple of minutes later. And then his wife just turns to me straight at the beginning and says, oh, will you talk about stuff? How was last week? And I'd literally just had my brain completely switched off, relaxed the day before, thinking I've got today and tomorrow off. And now I've actually got just loads of work to do. But it's work I wanted to do, so I'm not bothered. And now the bank holiday's next week, so I'll make sure to try and enjoy it next week. So I finally got I'd sorted out the bin truck problem. I got them moved later, but I've even now got them moved back even later. And I'm not moving them. It's just influence to the councillor and then her influence, and so they were. The problem was when they were coming at 6, the problem that they was using alarms, the problem that they're being aggressive. They've all moved to 8, but over the last few weeks they creeped to 8:30, and now this week was the first week for years, that like 2.5 years, where they've come after 9 a.m. But so the Monday crew, the Tuesday crew, and the Wednesday crew this week have all come after 9 a.m. That's a really significant thing. But then this week, just by chance, the gardeners decided to come at 8 a.m. every single day. And that's why then I thought it was a bank holiday today. I flipped because I really wasn't expecting the gardeners again this morning after they'd been here 3 days in a row. Tomorrow we've got another scheduled bin collection, and I guarantee you our bin just has one box in it that I just put in it, and that box is about 15 centimeters by 10 centimeters wide. It's like it's the Amazon packaging for a spray can that I bought. That's the entirety of our 8 flats rubbish since they last emptied our bin, but they're going to send a truck to come and get that tomorrow. It's unbelievable. Oh, it's danger. Don't get pushed too far off there. I didn't want to. Ooh. It's guy on my left. I can hear them in the sound effects at the moment.
Right, 50 more points. It's being tight with the cars now. If I just lost the race with another car straight off, it would be just one more race. Danger, danger. Guy's right behind me, you can just shockwave into me. Yeah. Oh, I'm lucky. Ah! Next. Just 14 more points. Yeah, drop back position and then get loads of players. Can't not get 14 points. I take the barrel on the right if I'm in the front. I didn't expect my nitro to run out then. That's strange. Got slowed down a lot then. I shouldn't have waited so long at the start. But anyway, lose points. Finish the token rush. Use the last fuel up on the Tushek so it's not left with one fuel. Oh, he's missing everyone's streams. It's all right. Ah! How many times could I get slowed down then? Oh, connections lagging. Good luck, guys. I'm madder than you.